We're on.
I got the package all set for everybody.
We're on, okay. We're going to call the meeting to order while the information is being distributed.
Pass them around.
Thank you kindly.
You need another one?
Meeting called to order promptly at 1:30.
Louise?
And I need one.
It's coming.
Yes, Louise, it's coming.
Thank you. And now you don't.
All right, who didn't get one?
You skipping me?
Well, George and Barry are here.
If you're late, you lose. All right, Chris didn't get one?
This is yours. You have one? Isn't it?
All right.
Isn't it?
This is your spot.
So there is an extra
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, thank you very much, Pam.
What, do you get in trouble if you sit in somebody's spot here or something?
All right, we have a quorum. We're missing one person who probably, he's coming, I think. We haven't.
Haven't heard anything.
No, so George may be arriving shortly. All right? And we do have time constraints today because the room has been obligated to someone else at 3 o'clock promptly. So we need to adjourn about 3 minutes of 3 to be able to get ourselves out, okay? So efficiency is the word today, and I will interrupt you, I'm telling you right now, if we get off track.
Might this be the model for future meetings?
Could be. Thank you. Okay. So, I guess, are you all set, Bob, as far as guests present? I'm going to start things off. I would like to welcome Patty.
Thank you. Sorry I missed last month. My
Well-
first time, I felt really bad.
Oh, well, that happens. So we're glad you're here today.
You already did yours.
Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Good. And then the other thing that I would like to do is, well, I have an obligation to remind everyone this is an open meeting, and we must abide by the open meeting laws. So, we've taken
And we're
that,
being taped.
and we are being televised, correct. So, and Tina is here, and I think she does not need an introduction, so we're glad she's here. I know Barbara is coming. She's trying to help them out with the, a Christmas tree for the Chit Chat Club, but she'll be along, I think. Now, I would like to share with you, before we get into the agenda and approve the minutes, I'd like to share with you a note that I received from Laura Kay, thanking us. Dear Mrs. Payne, thank you for your hard work and that of your committee in organizing the wonderful tea for my mother, Mary. The plaque inscribed with Mary's name as the first emeritus member of the council is a particularly special tribute. I'm so glad I was able to attend the tea and meet many of my mother's fellow volunteers and friends. With gratitude for your caring and thoughtfulness, sincerely, Laura Kay. So, I wanted to share that with you. I received it just after our last meeting, so I had to make sure I didn't forget it all this time. But anyway. Okay. Pardon me?
I'm sure it meant a lot,
I'm sure it did. It was a pretty special day, I think.
especially the tape.
Okay. Let's move on to the minutes. November 10th, 2014 meeting. Do we have any corrections, or can we move to entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve. Make a motion that we approve the November 10th minutes.
There was one just quick omission
Okay.
there. I think it was just a typo. There's a bullet, a blank bullet, D. I think. I have those.
Last page.
Page 2.
Oh, yes, there was. You're right. Yes.
Is that just
I
a
don't
typo?
know. On the back side, Bob. I noticed that myself.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was just a typo.
What?
D.
Oh.
D is blank. Perhaps you just,
Not blanket, probably, yeah, okay.
yeah, you just didn't
I'll fix
move,
it.
you just didn't move, get rid of E, make E D. I think that's probably what happened. I've done that myself.
Works for me.
Otherwise, any other comments? So we have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected with the bullets, the letters changed. We have a second for that? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So I think that was unanimous.
Oh,
Here he is.
okay.
Okay. Old business.
Barbara, do that to George, please.
Do we have an update on the kitchen project?
Well, I wish I could tell you that we had a contract and we're ready to start, but we don't, and we aren't. The best news I have is they sent the floor tiling out for testing, and it does not contain asbestos. Had it contained asbestos, it would have had implications for the time and the cost for the demolition. So that's at least a green light. The architect has been out again to verify some sizes and talk with Bill about some issues around water pipes and what have you. But right now, we're still waiting to get the drawings back, which would then be accepted by the PMBC, and then they would start to put the bid package together for the contractor.
Well, and so it goes. We're kind of at the mercy of the process, I think, at this point. So we will try to be patient. I guess we have no choice.
We have no choice.
That's right. Thank you. Update on protective service.
Chris, did you have anything to add on protective service? I know you were waiting for the brochure.
Yeah, you know what, they did send me a short stack of them, and here, I'll just pass these down to you, and a letter and offering, additional help. Can you guys pass these down to Pamela? So we did get those. It's a nice three-fold brochure with good information in it. I mean, there's 30 of them, so I was hoping they'd send us 300, but we can always ask for more.
Tina, do we have this one?
I haven't seen that.
I looked and I didn't see this specific one.
And there's the contact's phone number and email address for more information, if we want to ask again. So that's great information.
That is good information. Appropriate.
And we'll see that these get placed out where they can be seen by people, and that we'll pass them out to the right people.
Great.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Could you pass one around so we can glance at it?
Well, I think Chris did last time, but I'll send you another one here.
So briefly, what's the status now?
So I think the next step, Pamela, correct me if I'm wrong, you and Tina were just gonna, at the last meeting, thought just to collaborate a little bit about where we go from here. There was a February session, February 14, I believe, the last time there was a forum or open conversation about elder abuse, and so I think you were going to just think about ideas, what we could do together as a follow-up to that.
And I
That's where we
confess
are.
that Tina and I have not had a moment to get
Okay.
together to talk about that. I'm afraid we'll have to bring it to the next meeting, the January meeting.
That's probably just as well. I mean, as far as the timing goes anyway, because we do have the time to be able to.
It's smock season, fuel assistance,
Yeah.
and Tina is drowning. I was gonna say swamp, but you're beyond that, you're drowning.
And you did already organize an event. In the meantime, there was the
Right.
session here last month, which was great
Right.
and well timed. So thank you for doing that. So we certainly could just agenda it for the next meeting.
Right, and
Think about what's next.
I'm going to make a note right now for the next agenda. Okay. But there is time. My point was before the 14th session or situation there, there is time to kind of collaborate and think about it a little bit, so. That's not a bad thing, that you didn't get to it yet. So.
It's on the
Okay.
list.
Right. All right, can we move on? Everybody okay with that? Update on warrant items from the town meeting. What a great,
Oh, wasn't it wonderful?
wasn't that wonderful?
Oh.
Hmm.
I told Pam, we should have put up a new senior center.
Oh,
The
well,
meeting.
one thing at
I
a
said that
time.
jokingly.
Yeah,
But
yeah, one
it
thing
was
at a
nice.
time. Who knows what the best, well, that's one of our subcommittees that kind of needs to become activated it later on. Right now, we got our hands full, I think, with everything that's going on, so.
Yeah, when we
Well,
look at the whole meeting.
And as I've mentioned,
For us, it's wonderful. So-
as I've mentioned before, I think that for us to raise the question of wanting a new senior center at the time when the town has just given us $140,000 to renovate the kitchen might be seen as churlish at best.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
but it was my enthusiasm that made me say it.
Yeah. Timing is everything, often,
Yeah.
anyway. It's very important, so. I think we're all aware that we have needs, but we're okay. We're doing pretty darn well, I think,
Well,
actually.
it
So.
seems as though the people there are aware of the job that the Council on Aging is doing for the seniors of
Mhm.
Littleton.
Yep. Okay, do we have any other information or updates on that? Everybody knows the outcome, I'm assuming. Everybody's up on that. Has anything else happened, or where
It's
are we?
going to be in the newsletter again to encourage people that if they want more information about the deferral program, to contact the assessor's office, find out if they're eligible for that. I've already had a couple of calls from people about the personal exemptions. And again, the assessors can tell them exactly. And of course, all of that is confidential.
And some of them don't go into effect until July of
July
next year,
15.
based on the fiscal
I
year.
think it's just a question, or it would be good to have a plan. I mean, you're getting it out again in the next newsletter, then maybe skipping a month and then getting it out again. Keeping it out there, it needs to just be out there for people
A
to see.
reminder.
Yeah, so that's a good plan.
Yeah, and I think the thing to do next year is to do a reminder just prior to when the applications have to be
That would be good.
submitted.
Yep. So, that was very heartwarming. We need to thank everybody in town who supported us and approved it, I think. So, it was very nice. Any other discussion or comments on that? I think everybody was there that night. It was just, it was
That was
exciting.
amazing.
It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wonderful. It really was. So, okay, are we able to move on to D, the update on the needs assessment? And that's perhaps the most important thing that's happening right now, it seems. So, and that's the result of the town meeting also, so.
Well, I guess the most exciting thing was the meeting that we had last week with the consultant, Dr. Mutchler. And Bob, I didn't know if you wanted to say a few words about how you thought that meeting went as a kickoff for the project. The contract has not actually been signed, but they're close enough that she feels confident to proceed with meeting with us.
Okay, we have established a general plan. We're meeting with key officials in the town organization. In beginning of January, we're holding an open forum for our people, for anyone who's interested, before the survey is created, on January 10th, which is, I think, a Saturday, so that they can give us any input that they'd like, because we want to keep this as open to the public as we can. And then we will be beginning to put together the questionnaire and work with the Institute to get everything set up. And the survey will probably go out in April. And we will then have some things that are happening after we receive this a survey back. And then a plan will be prepared, a report will be prepared telling us what it has said. And we may be meeting with focus groups then to ask their input after that. But basically, it'll be July or June before we finally get the whole thing done, if we can stay on time.
I know several of you, oh, I'm sorry, George.
Go ahead, you finish speaking.
No, I was just going to make a comment, that's all. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say, several of you are serving on that subcommittee, and thank you for doing that, and I hope you're finding it exciting. Just
We
the
could use another person because
Yes.
it's very difficult to have a quorum if there's a person missing.
And I'm going to be away in February for the whole month.
Huh? So, all right, the needs subcommittee is looking for another board member to join them. So think about it, and
It's not a terribly big task in terms of our doing it, because the Institute is doing
Right.
the actual work. but we need to be there to oversee it and to make decisions in terms of timing and so forth. And so we really need to have another person.
It's the most important thing we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's about the future of where we go and what services we provide and what people's real needs are. Doesn't somebody else want to be on our committee?
It's fun, we have karaoke, we.
Donuts,
There's-
margaritas, we wear hats. It's,
To respond to what you were saying, Louise, about people finding out what we're doing at the council, Dr. Mochler was saying, and agreeing with us, we discussed this in our subcommittee meeting, that this is a great opportunity to just raise the visibility of what the council has to offer and what Elder and Human Services has to offer.
don't you want to jump in, Barry?
Oh, Barry.
Taking it all in.
Well, we get
Okay.
Is there
1
a-
month at least.
You have time, but, and if anybody would like to consider that and, you know, think about it, sleep on it, please let me know.
George, I think, wanted to say something.
Go ahead, George, I'm sorry. I didn't get back to you, I
Yeah,
apologize.
that's all right. I'm just a little concerned that the town gave us the money for the assessment to be done, and when this thing wraps up here, if there's a need for monies, have we looked at, is the town going to be looking at that to help us out with that, or do we have any type of plans that where we're going to start looking for money? Because I can almost think that in any assessment, and based upon what comes up, when it's wrapped up, there's a need for some funding somewhere, and I'm just wondering, have we took a look at that?
Well, it's hard,
Or the
sorry.
committee should probably take a look at that.
But that's
I would
like
say.
putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
We're-
but at any token, you're dealing with the town, and the town has limited funding here
Absolutely.
based on the money that they gave us. If you looked at the survey you got in your water bill, they're looking at 1.8 deficit about 2020. So I'm just saying, we need to look at that. If we make an assessment, we need to look at, because most times there's funding in some fashion or form that is usually needed.
I think we probably should be able to look at that as we move along and we identify what, a little bit more specifically what the needs would be. It's hard to kind of deal with it when it's an unknown.
And they gave us the money for the study, not
Not-
for the anticipated needs beyond the study. They're interested, I mean, Keith sat in on our meeting, and he is incredibly interested in what this study is going to tell us about the direction of the needs of the aging population of the town. So,
I understand that, and I understand dealing with Mr. Berkman in the past, when you go to ask him for money, it ain't just as easy as you think it
Well,
is.
it
They
isn't.
gave you the money for this, the town gave it to you because they had it. They may not have monies to give us later.
and they
That's the only
might
thing
not,
I'm
and
saying.
that won't, you know, it is what it is, kind of, George, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
I
the
mean,
only
it's-
thing I'm saying is I don't want to get in a flipping contest here about it. I'm just simply making a comment that I think that almost anything you deal with, funding is usually needed in some aspects. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Right.
You're right, and
That's a
maybe
given.
we'll have to be very creative as to how we find that funding when the time comes,
When-
but
and-
when the time comes.
That's certainly part of it's similar to the assessment and inventory created for the building, for our municipal buildings and the repairs required. It indicated a long list of necessary repairs now and into the future that exceed our ability to fund them now, but at least we have the information so that we can prioritize. I mean, if there are 10 things on the list, but we can afford 4, let's do the 4 that are
Right.
most critical. So this is about prioritization, it's data, and then it's measures moving forward, so that we did elect the 3 or 4 things to fund, whatever it may be, how are we doing with respect to the money we're spending? And this gives us that lens. Without it, we're, you know, would have come up with the right priorities, given the great staff that we have, but this just helps us do that. It brings data, it brings the community into the process. And so it's a great starting point, and to engage. And then otherwise, it's it's a relatively simple, straightforward question, but obviously a complicated, vast response and answer, because we're talking about how the town's spending money. And is the town at large spending money? It's not just about more revenue, it's about what are we spending and on what? And are we doing it correctly? And are we taking appropriate risks as a town? And so that the funding for these important matters will be there, but at least we, this committee, will be able to, and board, will be able to come forward with numbers, metrics, measures, justification for the money that we ask for. And that's a lot different. Documentation beats conversation, as one of my teachers told me somewhere along the way. And so we're gonna have that. But it's,
How long, just a couple of questions, how long have you, or when did you initiate this needs assessment?
It's just started. It was just.
No, it's 14 months ago
Well,
that we started.
the whole concept started, right. When we had a needs subcommittee developed, formulated, and they came forth with the idea that we need to gather information. So it's been in process,
For how long?
14 months.
14 months. Based on, over these 14 months and looking at the list that I reviewed of the number of entities, have you boiled down, say, the top
That's
6 or
what we're in the
7?
process.
That's what's happening now.
Survey
That's
is
what
going
you're
to
doing
do.
now.
Through UMass,
How many people are on the subcommittee?
One,
for
four.
And how many people do you think you need on a subcommittee?
5.
Hive, they would like one more member, so that when someone, it just gives them a little bit of a flexibility factor,
So they can have a quorum when people are away.
Okay.
so.
Would you
It
like
is,
to join?
the process, the town has backed us, and that's what that was, the warrant item was all about, was getting the funding to have UMass come in and do the needs assessment, because it really needs to be done by a professional group.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I just wanted a little more information.
Okay.
There you go.
Good. Thank you.
let me add to what Bob had shared about the public forum that we'll have next month. And so it isn't just open-ended input, though that would certainly be welcome. I think we're prepared to facilitate that conversation by sharing some of the key categories around which we'll be asking questions in the survey. And we're trying to elicit a conversation about those categories or topics, get different opinions and perspectives that will inform the questions. But folks, and I share that only to say that folks don't have to come prepared for more than a conversation, that we'll facilitate with some categories that the process to that point has garnered. And what do you think about this? And try to get a conversation going with the group. And we hope people will come.
Is that the January 10th
This is
meeting?
January 10th, Saturday.
And we're serving coffee and donuts to
And-
lure.
That's always a crowd pleaser.
That'll burn them.
That's true.
So,
That is very true.
yeah.
Marge?
Yes.
If I could just add one comment to the whole question about context. It should be remembered that we were talking about the needs assessment, and then the selectmen chose as one of their 8 goals the improvement of services through Elder and Human Services and the COA. So that really got the ball rolling in the sense that they have taken this as something that they want to promote. We came back with the idea of the needs assessment to get the information to answer that. In every meeting that I've had with Board of Selectmen, with the FinCom, I have reminded them that the results of this will be information and ideas about how to prioritize which items are the most critical, and that we will need their help in funding those. I've put that right on the table, that they will have to help us to find the money to do what needs to be done.
Once we get there.
And it also came up in the subcommittee meeting with Keith and with Dr. Mutchler, the idea that some of the answers, and by extension some of the money, isn't coming from us.
Or
It's
will be
a
handled by us.
community-wide issue, and it will probably come out of other coffers.
And be handled by, for instance, there's a transportation committee in the town with the or surrounding towns, and if there are transportation issues that come up, they will
Right.
probably be handled there with our input as to how we are part of that.
Similarly, housing.
Right. But it's a point well taken, George.
Yeah, well, I think the director expanded on that because this is something that's already been brought to the heads that knows what we have for spending.
But it's a good thing you brought it up.
Yeah.
So that it got out, and we all were talking about it, so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else about the needs assessment right now? Thank you all for the work you're doing. It's great. Very exciting, I think.
It is exciting.
Still need
Yes.
another member.
We still need another member, don't forget that.
You people have got to stop fooling around. We've committed to a major thing. We need another member on the committee. Face it. And somebody's got to step up and do it.
It's not gonna take that much of your time.
No,
I'm not able to do it, so.
we know.
I would if I could, but I take my husband to the doctor twice a week. Sometimes it's just,
I'll step up.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Patty.
Patty.
just too much.
Yay.
I can't commit much. Who will do it?
Patty.
Patty will.
Oh, good girl.
Thank you very
You need to get
much.
sworn in down at the, Patty, you need to get sworn in down at the office as a member of the subcommittee at the clerk's office. You need to get sworn in by the
Clerk.
clerk as a member of the subcommittee.
You see Diane Corey.
Diane Crory.
I know Diane.
Yep. Just check in. Yeah. Check in with her.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Are we ready to move on? Thank you very much, Patty. Okay, new business? Everybody okay with moving on?
Yes.
Community Preservation Commission. Pam's
Patrick
on.
Joyce came to visit me. Patrick is a member of the Community Preservation Committee. And he was, or commission, and he was asking me to think about whether there were any projects that we could ask the CPC to fund. Now, I'm asking for your help with this because I am struggling a bit to come up with projects that fit into their parameters. The CPC has 4 areas that they're supposed to work in: active recreation, passive recreation, open space, and then the 4th area is preservation of community, I guess resources might be the word to use, but in the past, it's done things like the stained glass windows, the antique stained glass windows in one of the churches in town.
Congregational.
Yeah.
Clock on the Baptist church.
You're right.
Right, and the new clock on the Baptist church, they're talking about the long store, trying to find a place to reassemble that. I'll confess that I'm racking my brain a bit to try to come up with something that we would have that would fit into that. It's hard, for example, for me to come up with anything around open space. And there are ample groups within the town that are addressing that. And even active and passive recreation, again, I think there are groups
What
that
was
are
the third
addressing
one?
that.
Active recreation, passive recreation, historical projects, and what was
Open
the?
space.
Open space,
Open space.
yeah.
Thank you.
So I just toss that out there, I'd like you guys to think about it, and maybe at the next meeting, I can bring you some more information about the CPC. He just came in and talked to me a couple of days ago about this. And he didn't have any. The projects he was coming up with were all under the auspices of the Housing Authority. I think he thought that we handled housing, and I had to explain to him that we don't handle housing. He had some ideas for some things for Shattuck Street, but that's not under our purview. Same thing?
He came to me.
About Shattuck Street? But you are on the Housing Authority, so that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I think perhaps then the important thing is for us to put our thinking caps on as a group, and if there is something, bring it back to the meeting next month. We'll put it on the agenda again for next month.
And in the meantime, I'll circulate some information to you about what CPC can and cannot do.
Right.
Just to stimulate your thinking. That's all I wanted to say about this, just wanted to put it out there and have you guys think about it.
They
So-
never suggested how much money that is involved, or never got on that topic.
They have hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I know, but for us.
Well, we have to come up with a need.
That's the thing, they won't
Matter.
give the money to us. We have to have a
Doesn't matter.
project that they will fund.
Right.
Okay, so.
For example, Park and Rec brought them the project of the 300 King Street Park.
Yeah.
And they're funding that.
They might even get it done sometime.
Right.
What was that?
So they might even get it done sometime.
Thank you, Pam. I think it's good to have something to think about, and perhaps somebody might have an idea that, nobody else has thought of, so think about it. And at least put it out, and then see if it is something that would be viable. Okay? Then let's move on to the sand bucket project. And George, I want to thank you. You've done a lot in this, I think, in helping to get this up and taken care of,
George got the ball rolling.
I guess.
You did a wonderful job.
So we need an update on that. It's been a great project.
Well, George kicked it off by getting us some of the crucial information we needed. And what did you find out from Home Depot first? What did they want for buckets?
$3.
Yeah, there's $2.97 about.
Yeah, something
Right.
ridiculous. But then you found out that Westford gets their buckets for their program from the schools. And that kind of started the whole ball rolling down the hill. This has turned into a great interdepartmental project. The schools showed up with the buckets the next day after we made the request. They gave us 35 5-gallon buckets. Jimmy Clyde came right up and said, yep, you can bring your people over and you can fill them up at the highway department. I had a group of senior tax workers on Friday, 6 of them, that filled buckets, and they're stored now at the farm so that they're out of the rain. And there's a group going out tomorrow to distribute. They've distributed 6 on Friday. There's another 5 that are going out tomorrow. And we just started putting up flyers and asking people to step up.
That was my question. Where is it advertised? Because the people I've spoken to were unaware of it. As I understand, there were 9 on the list last time I spoke with someone, and is this 35 on the entire list?
There's 35 buckets.
35 buckets, and there's 9 on it. I haven't seen any advertisements. That was my next question.
Well, you would only
There's no
would only see the advertisements this week if you came to the center.
They
There
said
are-
there were none downstairs in the
There's a
meals.
flyer in the dining room, there's a flyer
There
on
is?
the
Oh.
bulletin board next to where the exercise classes are, and there's a flyer up outside our office. We sent out an email to everyone on the email list and to everyone on the wellness email list.
That doesn't
asking-
cover seniors that do not come, and they're the ones that need it the most, the elderly.
Well, how
Little
do you
old
pro-
ladies.
Well, how do you propose?
To
That we
and
find out.
Action Unlimited, the Independent, the Sun,
Good, try.
huh?
That's a good thing to try, but it doesn't always work.
Well, otherwise you're just covering the people that come here, and that's not right.
How do you know we haven't asked those? How do you know we have not asked those publications to print something and they just haven't had time yet?
Or we'll,
Oh, did they come out? I haven't seen
They
it.
have not come out yet.
No, no.
The Independent has a 10-day drag on printing. Action Unlimited is 6 days and should be in next weekend's edition. And of course, our newsletter only goes out monthly.
Good. With this weather we're having now, they can use it.
But actually, if you think about it, a very short period of time has occurred because the project was just brought up at the last staff meeting, this meeting.
I brought it up in the November meeting, right?
Right, and so a lot has been done, and we've got the
Oh,
buckets
yes.
all ready to go, and now we're
Great,
still getting the
yes,
information
thank you.
out, so.
Would you like to do the publicity, Mary?
I thought that was in your ball court.
Well, you're the communications
You
person.
would, no, I'm just following up for answers, that's all.
I know you do communications. I thought perhaps you had some inside.
It was my proposal. George took it, and you both have done a wonderful job.
The word will, too, when something like that happens, I think the word gets out by word of mouth also, as well as, getting it in the newspapers. Yes, George?
I was just gonna say, if the flyers going in the diner there, that they can, reproduce some more and throw them down there. Because I know there was a lady that, when there was stuff down there, she would take it back to the trailer court and post it on their board down there for the people, because everybody sort of kind of look at the board there when they come up, get their mail or something.
Could send a notice to the Meals on Wheels people, because they're the ones that are shut in.
Yeah, we actually asked the Meals on Wheels people and our van drivers to help us identify
Yeah.
people who need it. I had a Meals on Wheels driver who was one of the people filling buckets. Yeah, yeah, those are both two really important groups. And by the way, Mary, you gave us two names, and one of them declined and said that she didn't want a bucket.
That's right, I understand, Miss Duffy did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, I know
So
all
we had to
about
take
it.
her off the list.
Right, I understand that.
I bet we won't have any left at the end of, shortly. I think they'll be all gone. Yes, Chris?
How do we get advertising on the LCTV kind of homepage, the general, when you go, and sometimes there's that banner information, and on the town's website, sometimes there's various activities, not just listed somewhere on the site, but more of a banner or an ad.
I don't know.
Well, to
Maybe
get
you're
things on
already
the
doing
LCTV scroll, all I have to
Barbara
do
knows.
is ask Mark.
And Barbara's raising her
gonna
hand.
answer.
Barbara has her hand up over there.
Yeah, send in something in, like a little write-up about it to Mark, and that'll go on.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
Wonderful.
all, that's all, just.
that's easy.
You know, send
Okay.
him an email with what you want said.
Okay. Pamela, will you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know how to
Thank
do
you for
that, and
that.
I've done it in the past. And I had forgotten, but I put it down here as a note to get it on the scroll.
Perfect. Scroll.
Thank you, Chris. That was a missed opportunity.
Well, not quite. Well, missed, but not really missed. See, we're gonna catch it up, right, and get it done, so.
All the help we can get.
That's right. Well, sometimes you just need everybody thinking together.
Absolutely.
Well, and I also didn't want to advertise too much in advance of Friday because I didn't have the buckets filled. And if it had
Right.
rained on Friday, we wouldn't have had them filled.
And you know that
Exactly.
that's what happens.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody would call immediately and say, why don't you have my bucket here?
I think it's remarkable how quickly
Yeah.
it's been pulled together. Actually, it's been 4 weeks
Right.
since it was brought up. So kudos to everybody that's been really working on this.
And I probably don't need to mention that anyone who's able-bodied, you can go to the highway department and you can fill a bucket there.
Oh, yeah.
Bring your own bucket, bring your own shovel.
Okay, how are we doing?
We have 50 minutes left.
We have how much?
50.
50. Wow, we're doing well then, huh?
Yep, I think so.
Okay. Are we ready to move on from sand
Yes.
to the reports? We have an update from the Friends.
Okay, well, hopefully everybody knows that this Wednesday, we're having a speaker, a program, I should say, gal that came before Marilyn Manning,
I'm
she
gonna
came
mention it
and
during
talked
my
about color. This time, this Wednesday, December 10th, at 1 o'clock, she's gonna be there talking about fashion. Fashion fades, but style is forever, and it's not a fashion show. I have to get that out there because people are asking me what time the fashion show is going to happen. It's not the thrift shop fashion show. This is a lady that's coming in and talking about fashion. And we're just going to have tea and dessert. And we want to mention that we're going to have a New Year's Eve, not a New Year's Eve, a New Year's party. And that date is what, the 12th? 14th of January, and we're calling it the Black and White Ball, only because it'll be decorated black and white, not because you have to wear black and white. And Elvis is going to be there, so get ready for his
What?
music.
What date?
14.
14th.
January?
Yeah. And
Said 1 to
Nancy's
3
looking it
here.
up for us
It's in here.
to be sure.
January 12th,
So he's going to come and sing, and he wants a dance floor.
14,
14th.
1 to 3.
14th of January. If it's a Wednesday, it's the Friends. That's all I can say, because we're always on a Wednesday. I think, is there anything else?
It's the 14th.
Yeah. Was there anything else that we wanted to mention to them that we're doing? Because we're busy, I'll tell you that.
We had a very successful Veterans Day luncheon. The Neshoba Valley Technical High catered. They did an excellent job. They helped set up, they cooked, they served, and the best part is they cleaned up and took it away.
And you're going to,
They were great.
you're now going to serve forever, right?
Yeah, we said not to get used to it, but as we were having our meeting, we thought, they might be fun to have back a few more times because it was so easy for us, and they were so good, and the food was good also.
And they were very extra special intergenerational too. They had a lot of fun with the people.
Yeah.
over there.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
the kids were great.
Happy
It's,
to have them.
the point will be if we can get them the dates that we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
And recently, our board member Dottie Chase turned 90.
Yeah.
And we took her to the tech for lunch, and which was very nice. It was a surprise to her. She thought we were having our board meeting, but it was her birthday lunch. And one of the special things, like you had mentioned just now, Bob, is the boy who made her cake is just a sophomore. And he came out and talked to her about the cake. It was so beautifully decorated, and the taste and the frosting. I'm getting hungry. But it was so wonderful that he came out and talked to her about what he did.
yeah,
So that was very special.
yeah,
Good group of people.
right. So that's our fun stuff for now.
And Nancy, did you want to mention about the Parker School and the intergenerational?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
The Parker School contacted us again. They are very much interested in coming back. It was the students who requested that they come back. It will be a different teacher. I am calling her this week to set up a time to come. We'll decide what we want to do, how we want to do it, but it will be in the spring. But that was very nice. The third graders are coming Wednesday, weather permitting, to decorate for the holidays. They've already been here for Halloween and Thanksgiving, and they are having such a good time doing it. And we are enjoying it in the cafeteria, in
And
the
I
diner.
think the teachers are too.
Oh, the teachers are too, yeah. Wednesday, it's supposed to be very, very stormy in the morning, not snow, but downpours of rain, lots of mud, and they cut through the woods. So I'm not sure if they're gonna make it or not, but,
That's the day of our program too.
yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Pam.
Yeah, well, I personally have to share something with you. I had a birthday last week, and my first card was from the kids. And it meant so much to me.
Oh, how
Aw.
nice.
It really, I was so touched, yeah.
Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Louise.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, George?
I just wanted to thank the kids from the school for coming over and thanking so highly of the seniors to come in and want to do projects like that in the diner down there and to make the mats and, of course, those that make the birthday cards. And they've been doing that for a long, long time. And I just want to take my hat off to them because it's a great thing to instill in young people. And I want to especially thank the Friends because they've always made a great effort to make sure that the veterans always is recognized in the town here and through that luncheon, and I think that's been a good thing. And as a veteran, I certainly appreciate what they do for us.
Thank you.
And
Well said.
Tina deserves credit for organizing month after month after month the birthday card program.
And that's thanks to all the help too from the Shaker Lane and Russell Street and sometimes high school students, as well as the occasional Girl Scout, Boy Scout troops and some other groups in towns, but they're the ones that provide all that talent too. I just kind of have the names that can go out to people.
But still, it's really a combined effort of so many people, when you think about it, that makes it so special, I think. So, a lot of different hands in the pie. Anyways, is that it, friends?
Tomorrow, I'm meeting with Dorothy Malone from the superintendent's office, and we're going to be discussing our next spring's luncheon for the seniors that the school will provide. So that happens tomorrow. So we're doing intergenerational a lot more than we have before, and this is just working out very well.
Oh, I just thought of something that needs to be
Is that what
mentioned.
they had last April?
Yes.
Is that what you, okay.
Did you mention that you had a table at the town fair this past weekend, the Friends did?
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
And that was great because our knitters manned the table and had all the things that they had made, and they made a good amount of money. And so they had some beautiful things. I think you had a few things left over too, but
They broke last year's sales record.
so remember the knitters too. And if anybody's interested in knitting with them, they're there every Monday.
Right.
They made
And-
well over $500.
Yep.
And the actual, everything goes, if it isn't, doesn't go to the Friends, to go for the fair, which brings money into the Friends for their activities and things for seniors. Things are donated to, sometimes prayer shawls are going to the churches. We have things, Jean runs the knitting group, maybe you could talk a little bit about where the things that didn't get sold are going.
It was split up between Loaves and Fishes, gave it to them, which we usually give to Loaves and Fishes. But this year, someone had come over and asked us if we could, I thought she said it was for the cancer kids, because she wanted the hats. And so we split the hats up between Loaves and Fish and this lady here. And all the scarves and everything went to Loaves and Fishes, so.
That's good, wonderful.
Yeah, so we had a good amount of things that went.
I couldn't get a parking spot. I went down to the fair 3 different times.
In spite of the weather, it was well attended, I think.
I
Yeah.
couldn't get over it.
Okay.
I drove around and around and around.
We're getting off a little,
Yep.
I think. We do a time limit here. Time constraint
Some of us had to
today.
park over by the Russell School and walk over.
Yeah. Okay, Bob, you're on, I think. Thank you. I don't mean to be rushing you. I added to that, but you happen to be down there, so. We all set, friends? Thank you. Okay, Mark, office budget monthly reports.
Okay, we have your budget reports in front of you. There's nothing spectacular on there. You'll notice that the supervisor's hours are 1/2 of what they were on the Mart report, because they're now going to be completely removed from Mart, and Pam will be paid totally out of the office budget and not out of the Mart budget. This is to provide more info, the town is providing the money for that, and the Mart budget will be using the money we have, the $68,000 we have, for more drivers, to cover the drivers for more hours, because we're obviously increasing and increasing and increasing.
And then there's the funds report.
Any other questions? Everything else is pretty much right on. Unless you have specific. The last column over is proof on the office budget, is just showing that we're showing exactly the same numbers of money available as the town budget is allocated. So you can see each one of those numbers just to the right of the balance figure. And the balance that we have left out of the budget that we set. Anybody have any questions?
I have one question, need to back up to the Mark budget there. On the dispatcher, it's showing the balance of 10-4 there. I thought that money was transferred. Do we have 10-4
We
in
did
the
not
budget?
change the budget. We have not shown anything there, because we will eventually get a bill from the dispatcher, as we did last year, and so that money is being left there to pay for that.
Oh, okay. So we're tracking that on the dispatches then?
It comes in as either a quarterly or a half-yearly bill.
If your question, George, is whether they reimbursed us the $1,500, they did.
Yeah, I got that at the last meeting, I think, that they wanted that.
And so we are budgeted to spend $10,000 this year for dispatch. It has not been billed to us yet.
Oh, okay.
That's why it keeps showing up as zero.
Anything else? Pretty straightforward in terms of, you know, the ongoing by month. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to the October figure. I'll go back and find it. I can look it up if anybody's interested and wants to write it in, because I have all of them in my computer, so. It just dropped out somehow. The amount we took in for gas collected. Anybody want to know what that is? I'll have it in for next month.
Okay. Director's monthly report.
So the director's monthly report is, as always, backwards facing. I've already talked to you about the kitchen project. We'll come back in a minute to the Minuteman Senior Services. You can see the numbers again for attendance, transportation. We're down just a slight amount in November because we have 2 holidays in November, and with the Thanksgiving holiday, we essentially lose Friday. So things like bingo were canceled on Friday, and diner's not open, so we're not providing a congregate meal that day, and those kinds of things. I made a copy for you of the Minuteman letter. This is their annual report, which comes to me. It's 2-sided. On one side is the letter from the Director Butler, and then on the back is a breakdown of the actual services that were provided. Of course, for confidentiality reasons, they don't mention any names, but you'll notice things like 132 people under Shine, and then they work out the value of those services. Caregiver support, 10 customers, 10 consumers. Protective services, 25 consumers. Meals on Wheels, 39 consumers. Nursing home screening, 50 consumers, et cetera. We do pay an allocation to them every year. We do pay our assessment to them, but we definitely get services back from them. Our Shine officer, for example, is here every Wednesday, and he's right on the ball, serves a lot of people, and now the E in Shine stands for everyone, not just elders.
Oh,
His mission has been expanded much as Elder and Human Services has been expanded. We have a lot planned for January. There still are a few programs planned in December. Of course, around the holidays, things get relatively quiet, but we have a lot of programs planned in January, and I think you'll be excited when you see the January newsletter.
Questions for Pam?
Pamela, general question. The long-term care ombudsman,
Yep.
how does that compare to the Massachusetts long-term care ombudsman's program and the services provided? Is it,
The way Minuteman operates is they are contracted by the state to provide services for a geographical area.
okay,
We are geographically in Minuteman's area, so I would imagine that the state ombudsman is probably over them in the sense, and probably also serves any areas that don't fall into a catchment, like Minuteman, but they're not in competition with each other. It's an either-or kind of thing.
okay.
But we are, all of these services come through Minuteman, but they're state-funded. I don't know, Tina, if you want to say anything more about that program in specific.
No, that's good what you said.
Any other questions? You look like you have a question, maybe, no?
Well,
Okay.
and we've talked about this before, but Chris, if you call that 800 number for elder abuse and protective services, this is where they refer you back. Eventually, you come back to
Right.
Minuteman if you live in Littleton.
During working out, their operational hours.
Well,
Yeah.
they take the call anytime, but the service gets provided through Minuteman.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
There was a,
We
yeah.
we certainly get our money's worth for $2,000 for all the service. This is the,
Assessment's now $2,500, but yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we get some bang for our buck.
Mhm.
Definitely in the meals program, Meals on Wheels, and
But
the
I-
lunch program.
I would note that it says that in the letter that it's $2,500. That's what their suggested assessment is. And we have not ever agreed to that.
We budgeted for
we
it
budgeted
2,500 this
2,000.
year. This year, we budgeted 2,500. Bonnie asked me to do that.
It's really good information. I don't recall seeing this before from front. So, other questions for Pam, or are we ready to move on? George?
Yeah. Bunny asked us to budget the 2,500 because of what?
Because that's what they want from us,
That's what
2,500.
they want from the town?
Okay, then the budget as we have it is wrong because it says 2,000.
The fiscal year 16 budget that
Oh,
we just
16,
worked
next
on.
year's
Yeah,
budget,
next
She asked
okay.
me to put it in.
But don't forget, you're gonna pay this year's budget at the end of this year, and it's 2,000.
Is that what we're paying this year, 2,000?
Yeah.
So-
They're going to bill us for 2,500, we'll pay 2,000.
No, and it clearly says this in the letter. It's for fiscal year 16, the 2,500.
I know what it says, but we've never agreed with it. We never agreed with it when they told us. I used to say 2,700, but we wouldn't pay that.
Yeah. There was a time when they did try to really extort us to get a very high fee.
I don't want to put it in those terms, but we just didn't feel that we could afford to pay the full assessment. And so it's always been less than what they said it was.
I always was under the assumption it was per head for senior over a certain
Supposedly.
age. As that increases, that goes up.
Well, if I may, we just didn't have the budget to put out that kind of money when they asked for it, so we always negotiated to cut it back, and we sort of kind of hung around that 2,000 for quite a few years there, but, you know, now the town is agreeing with them, I guess, and saying, okay, we'll give you 25, so that's where we at, so that's, you know, that's fine, I guess.
It's worth it.
It is worth it, that's for sure. All right, are we ready to move on to Tina? The Outreach Coordinator's Monthly Report?
Okay, so, there definitely was an increase in Shine Benefits health insurance needs, and Bob Selling now has an assistant who usually comes on Wednesday to take the overflow. And that program continues to grow and be very important. And like Pamela said, it's serving health insurance needs of everyone. It just so happened that there weren't any young under 60 this month that came in for services with him. The groups continue to go well, and the financial management programs continue to go well. We have resources, which is helpful. The telephone reassurance program was quite significant this month, as our senior tax worker was able to make 70 calls, and of those calls that generated 8 additional callbacks and follow-ups with people based on the information that she had told them about, and then they called the outreach office for more information. The Case Collaborative program, they're coming back December 16th from 11:15 to 12. I hope everyone will be able to join them. The students come from, like I say, Case Collaborative out of Littleton Public Schools. Carrie Bremer is the teacher, and they'll come back again in February. And they have a couple of other dates after that. So we're looking forward to having them included in the intergenerational programs that are happening. And, you know, we had the Pine Tree Park Clinic last month, and that's why the numbers look so, the page looks so small this time, because I had to fit that onto the page. Next month, print will be a little bit larger, so I don't have to accommodate that number. But that's with Neshoba Nursing Service, Tamara Bedard, and the Pine Tree Park residents, and all of them are welcome to come. We had 9 last month.
And you'll notice that there are 2 sets of reports on here. One set is for those over 60, the other set is for those under 60. At the end of the year, the state asked us to sort out on that parameter. So Tina has now started collecting that information, so we can, like if you look at general information, you can see that she served 109 seniors, but she served 20 people who were under 60 as well.
Tina, how are these 70, so this is 70 calls
Yes,
that were made?
yes.
What's the resource requirement to make those 70? So how many individuals for how many hours or days generally? Roughly.
Those calls were all made by one senior tax worker. That number's not duplicated anywhere
Okay.
else in calls that I've made to people, a return. Is that the question you're asking?
No, well,
Oh.
just for context, it seems like an extremely valuable and important aspect of what we're doing, to reach out and actually, human to human, are you okay? And are you aware of the following that we're doing?
Oh.
And then whatever given current event or a special program that's occurring, to, as a way of, like the sand.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm just wondering, it seems extremely valuable, and I wonder if you would agree that we need more capacity to make more of those calls, or is that a good limit? I'm just trying to get a feel for it, but it seems like we could and should do more, because it seems like an important thing.
Yeah, it is very important. Some of those contacts, were voice messages that she left a voice message, and some she heard back from, and some we hope they got the voice message. But yes, it's probably a very important program that if we could keep it going long-term, there would always be the need for it. Her notes will show us that some people were happy for the information but did not want to be called back again. They knew where to find us. But for some of the others, further calling may be good. But Pamela had identified the census list. We worked off of that. It was a lot of research for her to get some of these phone numbers. Some people have dropped a home phone and were cell phone, and she had ways, our senior tax worker had ways of getting contact information for them. So perhaps we will continue it once Pamela and I meet again and see if we're going to be able to continue it for those who are interested in receiving it.
You raise a good point, Chris, though, about the resource that's involved. We're fortunate that we had a senior tax worker who's an RN and skilled at working with people and asking questions and able to talk to people. It's not a program that can be done by just anybody. Some people wouldn't be comfortable with making those calls or wouldn't get as much information as she was able to get.
Is that Jan?
Jan Mancuso
Yes.
is the person who is doing it.
Right.
It's a legitimate outreach activity. Just we've never had the staffing before. This is the first year we've done it. We never had the staffing before to do it, to make it happen.
She's good.
It never ceases to amaze me how we seem to come up with people who have special skills to get more accomplished than any other COA in the state, as far as I'm concerned.
You got special people.
I have the answer for that. We've done so much without nothing, we do anything.
Amen.
And I think that's also so typical of a, when you have people that can manage volunteers and fit the job to the volunteer. That's when you really get, and that's a skill in and of itself. So it makes a huge difference, absolutely, because then you have a happy volunteer who's doing something that's helping them feel good. And so, thank you for doing that. That's a lot of work in and of itself, is just kind of putting the two together. It really is.
And the other program that's probably a great relief to me is the 10 senior tax workers we have doing friendly visiting. It's just so much support is being given thanks to that, that program.
Yeah.
And we feel very fortunate to have them out there. They're doing great things, and they really are helping in such a big way. So
That's a huge outreach.
yeah, it's about 40 visits a month on that program alone, 40 plus on some months, because they are very, it's just working out quite well.
Yep. Okay.
Question to Tina. So on this outreach, they take new clients every month, or there's different clients that they're going to visit every month, or are they doing repeats?
You talking the phone outreach, or are you talking
No,
friendly
I'm
visitors?
I'm talking about the friendly visitors, the 10 taxpayers?
The friendly visitors are assigned generally one person. We have a couple that will work for two different people because they have time in their schedule to see two. But most of it's the one senior tax worker or volunteer connected with a resident in the town with the need.
Yeah, but my question is this a repeat of the same people, or do you get two new people?
They're,
As far as the client.
as far as the
Clients, are you
client.
talking about clients or?
Yeah,
I'm
her
talking about,
clients, yeah.
I'm talking about reaching the clients. Is
You can do
if she signed two this month, is there two different ones they get next month?
Well, in the count, we continue the ones that continue to get the service. So,
So same volunteer goes to the same
Can we
client.
expand it to new people?
yes, we can try.
We have
can
some,
try.
we have some
Yeah,
people
and-
who
yeah.
do that, okay.
And do they visit them once a month, or?
No, once a week, and sometimes it's a little bit more if they provide the transportation to, let's say, a medical appointment or to a doctor's, or to a grocery store.
No, my only concern was that if you have 10 people in the tax program that's doing this, are we trying to reach as many people as we can, or are we just accepted X and we're just working with the X?
Well, you know, the tax program is limited by the number of hours that people
Well, I
can
understand
work.
that, I understand that.
So-
The thing is, that the one person makes a contact with a client, and over a period of time, they're only working with one or two clients each. So unless you get more tax workers, you can't expand the program.
But if
So-
there's, go ahead.
But my thing, if a person got 80 hours and they're working this program, so they spend 6 hours, 3 hours apiece with these two clients, so that means that they got 74 hours left. So why can't
But they're not.
they?
They're
what-
working with them once or twice a week.
Week
every
after week after week.
Or week after week after week after week. And the key is the connection that they make with the person continuously. They don't, and they're not looking to work with 6 people, they're only looking to work with 1 or 2 people and to do it long-term.
I think if I
I just
may,
thought that was, if I may, I just thought that was a reach out to make contact with the people and just see if there's anything that they need that otherwise they could come in and see
That's the
things.
phone outreach program, that's separate. That's the phone outreach program.
This one is a get to know them, work with them, help them go to the store, visit them to make sure that they're okay, and provide companionship.
and I think, this is safe to say, that if somebody came along that Tina became aware of that needed the services and was not receiving them, she'd do everything in her power to find somebody to be able to provide the service to them, so that we could,
Right.
if there's a need, she addresses the need.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I was just asking because I thought
Right.
that if we're trying to reach the seniors, period, and their mechanism in place other than the telephone call, and if we had people that actually was going to visit and making contact with them, that's a good way to do it as well. And I just thought that, we're not going to the same people all the time. That's what I was concerned about.
Is this what you would call the other towns call companion service? That's the same
It's a
thing.
friendly visitor
Right.
companion service, basically,
Right,
as opposed to the
respite,
telephone, which is.
respite, it's got
checking
different
on you.
names.
Well, I understand
Those
what they're
names are
doing,
right.
yeah.
Two different things.
How many hours can each volunteer use a week under this tax program? Is that all
Under the tax
limitation?
program, you're not a volunteer, you are a town employee.
Oh,
If you're in the tax program and you're a town employee, this year, it's 65 hours in a year, from July until June.
thank you.
If you're a volunteer, you can spend as many hours as you want, like Barbara McCrae.
Okay. I need to remind everyone that our time is running out, and we need to,
Pam.
We
Pam
need
Louise
to-
Curley.
time is running short. We need to be brief as possible, and move on. We do have a time limit today we have to meet. So we
I
have
thought
to.
you were in the tax program.
Oh, no, I'm not in the tax program.
So, are we done with the outreach coordinator's report?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Senior diner.
Senior diner,
Barbara.
senior diner's going fine. The bingo, Ellen Arujo, who takes charge of the bingo,
Right.
has had surgery today, I guess, as we speak. and she won't be back for a while, but I think Ally Duran is going to fill in for Ellen
Ellen.
Arujo.
We should probably
And
send her,
I'm
the
sure
council should send her a
Dottie
card.
Ruiz always helps out too, so
Yeah.
I'm sure everything will run smoothly.
I think I'll take it upon myself to send her a card if it's all right with you from the council.
Thank you.
She had that, is having major surgery today. And she was quite apprehensive about it, so.
Who's that, Ellen?
Ellen, yeah.
I talked with her on the phone.
Okay, we need to move
She
on.
seemed to be holding everything in good stead.
Good. All right, but I will do that. I'll send a card from the council. Thank you, Barbara. Is that it?
That's all.
Okay, Mary, you're on. Thank you.
The point of interest here is, and many of you are probably aware of it, that when the Social Security benefit letter came in November and December, they're advising the people to hold on to it, put it in a file, because the SSA is changing their policies, and you will no longer be able to get a duplicate copy quickly by going into the office. All duplicate requests needed will be done online, on phone, or by the mail. And many of these letters are necessary if they want other additional, apply for other benefit programs. The shoveling snow update, my other towns have had the problem, and I think we have too. My point is, it's hard to get volunteers to commit to shovel driveways. I was wondering, would we have names of companies and shovelers in the office if people called in here to find someone? Do we have that?
I believe we talked about this last month. The Friends have generously provided funding, and when we have a senior who is in need urgently of someone to shovel, say, from their door to the street, we use the funds that came from the Friends with a contractor who does that. I know we talked about this last month. This is deja vu to me. That we have tried in the past to do a volunteer program and that it has not been possible to get that off the ground. So instead, last year, we started this program. The Friends generously funded it. I want to make sure this gets into the minutes, Bob, that we discussed this and that there is a program in place for that.
Good, good, I'm very glad.
Doesn't sound familiar?
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
We're talking about leaves, I think.
Yeah, I think we talked about
Ranking.
snow though
We
as
did.
well.
Okay. I just kicked you again.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency has a rule now that you can bring unused prescription meds to pharmacies, clinics, and hospitals that agree to accept them at a take-back or mail-back drug events, flushing the drugs, and people are all aware of that, of how to dispose. We've covered that at other meetings, how to dispose of drugs. If not, I have a long list. I'll be glad to give to anyone for a copy.
And Littleton
There's-
Police Department also.
There's a
Yes.
kiosk there where
Right,
you
at
can take.
certain events, they will take
No,
that.
they have a kiosk in the lobby. You can go there anytime and you can
Good.
drop off drugs,
Okay.
anytime.
Do we have a notary service here available? One of the,
Republic.
Town clerk is a notary.
okay, because one of the towns,
And you can do it at the library.
they go to the senior's home that needs it, that's not able to come in.
I think Diane has done that for people.
Okay, all righty.
You have to have a license to do that, you know.
Yes, yeah. And I think the American Cancer Society on the road to recovery, there's 2 points here. And I think I've mentioned this before, if a woman is having cancer treatments, there is a free house cleaning service that's available for one time a month for 4 months while undergoing the treatment. A doctor's note is required to get this service, and you can register either online or calling. The other part of the program is that they provide transportation for the people to and from treatment who have cancer. They have volunteer drivers. They use their time and vehicle to take the patients for the care they need to recover. Also, I have a number for that if anyone needs it.
I would like that information. I'd like to disseminate that, Mary.
Okay, that's it.
Yes, George?
Can you give Bob that number so he can put it in the minutes?
Which
there?
one?
The one
The
about
cancer?
about the cleaning?
Oh, about the cleaning?
Yeah.
Right here, Bob. You can register online or call this number, 877-337-3348.
That's the house cleaning? And what about for the transportation?
You can register online on the cleaning for www.cleaningforareason.org.
Is it the letter for or the word for?
FOR.
FOR. Okay. The other one is 800
Best transportation?
Right, for Road to Recovery that will provide transportation. 800-227-2345 to schedule an appointment, and they have to have 48 hours notice.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, to the director, I looked into the budget report there. On the Mark report, it said that we paid $119 on the telephone. Where, on the telephone, I remember there was a question that came up before. Are these telephones that the town have, or are these telephone with the new system now? How is the telephone set up now, and is this the pay that the town is billing us for the telephones? Are they through the town, or what?
There are 3 cell phones. One is in each of the vans, and the other one is in the office.
Okay.
And they are,
Right here or here?
they
Which
were,
one do you want?
as far as I know, they were purchased by the town. The billing for them comes to
Social
the
Security?
town bills them, and then they bill us to be reimbursed, because MART lags often 2 to 3 months behind in reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Just in the category of communication, the, this email that Pamela, the holidays getting you down, keeping those holiday blues away on Sunday, November 30th.
You like that one, huh?
That's a great, I mean, this is obviously
Tell
timely.
me more about it, Chris.
Right? And I just want to say that I bet a lot of people appreciate it. So thank you for, you know, this series of communication you're sending in general, this one in particular. I mean, I thought this was excellent.
Thank
You
you.
know,
We do get responses from people thanking us for specific ones, and I got a couple on that one.
yeah. Very good.
Thank you for doing that and for mentioning that, yes.
I just wanted to say that in the Globe this week, there was an article on elder issues, which was so timely to the needs assessment, and one of them was food insecurity. And they were saying that 1 in 7 in the senior population has some food insecurity. And you know, you start doing the math, we have 2,000 elders, if 1 in 7, you know, it's a pretty shocking number who might be
I'm
feeling.
surprised how many people in Littleton
Yes.
are food insecure. I'm sure Tina's aware of that, and others. And I know from my experiences, that Loaves and Fishes have become very aware of it.
Yes.
So it's not just Littleton, it's all
No,
over.
it's-
But people don't tend to think that Littleton has anybody that might be.
Well, we don't think we have any hoarders or that we
Right.
have any people
So,
who have food.
There are
We
many
don't think we have any
people that-
homeless people.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Right. So it's a huge problem.
And it's interesting, one of the things that came up with the consultant is the experience they have in asking questions so that you can get a real answer. Because if you just ask a senior, do you have any food insecurity, do you have any issues with
They
food,
say
they
no.
all will say, no, I'm fine.
Absolutely.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question? During the summer, is the senior diner combines the men's and women's breakfast?
Yes.
Did they ever give that consideration in January and February, considering the cold and snowy weather?
I don't know, we'd have to talk to the senior diner and find out. I don't know if they
It's a
have.
Friends program.
It was a question that was posed to me, that's why
Oh.
I'm bringing it to the table.
What makes it matter then?
Pardon me?
Why does it matter then?
It matters because, from what I have heard, in the summer it's combined because people are away and there's not as many people come.
Right.
In January and February, when it's really cold and snowy, the same thing happens.
People.
The men come to cook for the women and there's few people, and the women come and cook for the men and there's few people. You know, this week it's on Thursday and the men the next week. And
I
if
can
they
get you the
combine
numbers
them
on
in
that.
January and
I don't think that's
February,
accurate,
they
but I
could
can
do it
get you the
once,
numbers.
And they might have more people.
Patty,
It was just
I-
something that was asked of me.
Patty, I can run you the numbers on that. I don't think that's accurate. I think that they get a very good turnout in the winter.
I'm just bringing it to the table, that's all.
Yeah, I think that the person may have been talking about one particular anecdotal thing, or perhaps talking about their own situation, but I'll get you the numbers for that at the next meeting.
What was the actual question asked?
Yeah.
Could they combine,
Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
No, the statement was made that the
January and
January and February
February,
numbers are down
as they
on
do in the
on
summer?
breakfast.
Combined, yeah.
And should we change the way we do the
Just
breakfast
listening to
because of
the
that?
seniors.
Good for you. Keep it up.
well, to be quite frank with you, we get more food when we don't combine. The women's in that.
There's that extra bacon there, huh?
Absolutely.
Because all my name in that bulletin, and they came running at me.
Okay.
I have one quick question. I know we only have 8 minutes left. But, and it's kind of true, but it can be answered.
Can't hear you, Louise.
Speak up.
How has the Chit Chat Club been doing, and have they changed their name yet? I heard they wanted to change their name.
They're changing their name in January to the Littleton Social Club. The group asked for that, particularly the men wanted something that they thought sounded a little more
Masculine.
inviting to the men. Right. And the club is, as I reported the last time, it's doing extremely well. We are at full capacity. Every time we lose someone, we pick up another person. And I think the real testament to how successful it is the way the checks keep coming in from the families.
Oh, wonderful.
You know,
Yeah.
they pay quite regularly and quite promptly, which I think says that they see value.
Yep, thank you
in
very
that.
much.
And you have several volunteers, right?
Have great volunteers with
Oh,
that
yeah.
group, terrific volunteers.
And you're
I
decorating
move
your
that
own
we
Christmas.
adjourn.
Christmas tree this week.
We gotta go.
Second on that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Susan.
Third, fourth, fifth.
All right, hey, we did it.
you next year.
Congratulations, everyone. We did it by 3.